Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Thank you for joining us today for this important announcement highlighting Canada's continued commitment to trade diversification and to the workers and businesses that drive our export forward. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the traditional territory of the Indigenous peoples. We recognize the enduring presence and contributions of First Nations, Inuit, Métis peoples, and thank them. I'm Sonia Sidhu, Member of Parliament from Brampton South, along with my friend Peter Fonseca, MP from Mississauga, East Cooksville. Today's announcement underscores how the Government of Canada is helping Canadian companies to reach new markets, strengthen their supply chains, and grow their exports around the world. There's no better place to make it than here at MDA Space, one of Canada's most advanced centers for aerospace innovations, a Canadian company doing world-leading work right here in Brampton South and creating good qualifying jobs. Now it is my pleasure to welcoming the host of today's announcement. Please welcome Mike Greenlee, CEO of MDA Space, who will share a few words about the company and what it works here in Brampton and the importance of today's announcement. Mike Greenlee.
Good morning, and welcome to the Global Headquarters and Space Robotics Center of Excellence for MDA Space. Thank you, Sonia, for your kind remarks. We're pleased today to host Canada's Minister of International Trade, the Honourable Maninder Sidhu, with some elected officials and distinguished guests to make an important announcement about Canadian ambition and global trade. MDA Space was founded in 1969, is Canada's largest space company and an anchor of the global space economy. The success of the company that we are today, a global leader in satellite communications, Earth and space observation, and space infrastructure and robotics here in Brampton, is a direct outcome of 6 decades of forward-looking Canadian public policy to harness space, to communicate across and monitor our vast geography, as well as industrial policy to develop world-leading Canadian innovation and initiative. Today, with more than 4,000 people across the country and around the world, we are increasingly investing in global growth and export opportunities, exemplified by 2 recent billion-dollar acquisitions. In June, we spent $1 billion to buy a company in the United States to be able to focus on addressing that market, and in July, we spent $1 billion on a company headquartered in France with operations in 20 countries to expand our global operations around the world. As we enter January of 2027, we will have 5,500 employees operating from 43 sites in 23 countries around the world. Every one of those countries is an opportunity to accelerate international trade to the benefit of our company, our colleagues, and Canada. And our partnerships with the Government of Canada as an anchor customer, as a channel to market, and as a core facilitator of Canadian exports is a strategic catalyst to our success. We are thrilled that the Minister of International Trade is also from right here in Brampton. Minister, we've been proud of you and grateful for your help in carrying our Canadian flag and our brand around the world as Canada's leading salesperson. In the last year, I've had the privilege of joining you on trade missions in UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Japan, and I've witnessed firsthand your dynamicism and ability to engage with Canada's international partners to diversify our trading relationships, promote business ties, and help Canadian industry close business deals. In this era of heightened geopolitics and strategic competition, we are pleased that Canada's new defence industrial strategy balances 2 pillars: investing in sovereign defence capabilities to defend and protect our country, while building a strong Canadian defence industrial base to ensure economic development in this country. We are equally supportive of the Carney government's Build Canada Strong strategy and its ambitious goal to build at home while connecting Canadian businesses to new export markets around the world. Just like the strategic decisions made 60 years ago, we view this as an important evolution in how and why our country invests, innovates, and exports new industrial capability and expertise. Canada enters this new era from a position of strength. We possess world-class talent, innovative companies, leading academic institutions, trusted international partnerships, and a proven track record of achievement. By placing greater emphasis on exports and trade diversification, The government is recognizing that helping Canadian companies succeed internationally is not simply good for business, it strengthens Canada's industrial base, creates highly skilled jobs, attracts investment, and reinforces our role as a trusted ally and trading partner around the world. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gainley and Holly, and thank you the entire team here at MDA Space for hosting us today. Now I'm delighted to invite the Minister, who has been a strong advocate for Canadian exporters, working closely with the industry and partners to open new markets for Canadian companies and workers. Please welcome the Minister of International Trade, the Honorable Maninder Sidhu, who will do today's announcement.
Well, thank you, Mike, for hosting us here today. Allow me to start by thanking the workers here at this very site. As a proud Bramptonian, as a member of Parliament here in Brampton, we are so excited to make this announcement here at MDA and alongside many of your workers. Many people were paying attention to Artemis recently, looking at what Jeremy Hansen is doing for the country, and I tell you, kids around Canada are excited what MDA is doing. So thank you for all your hard work. And good morning, everyone. Bonjour et tous. 45 years ago, a Canadian company helped build the Canada arm. That company is MDA Space, and that arm reached into orbit and showed the world what Canadian workers could do. The very workers here at the Brampton site. Today, that same company is still reaching, still building, still leading in a world in space robotics. And here's what people forgot. MDA is not just satellites, it is people. More than 3,000 Canadians work throughout the MDA supply chains. So this is the right place to be because Canada has never been a country that sits back and waits. We lean in, and today we are leaning in like never before. Today we are launching Canada's first ever strategic exports office, working side by side to help our best companies win the biggest contracts in the toughest markets around the world. Let me tell you why this matters. Before politics, I spent 13 years as an international trade specialist, working with hundreds of Canadian businesses facilitating international trade. I know what it takes to compete. I lived it. Then I came to global affairs, first as parliamentary secretary and now as minister. So I have seen this from every lens, both in business, diplomacy, and now in government. I understand the intricacies and the need to break down silos to deliver commercial outcomes for the benefit of Canadian workers and industries. Our businesses came to us with a clear message. They are ready to compete anywhere in the world. But too often they are up against international competitors carried by the full weight of their respective state. Coordinated financing, coordinated diplomacy, coordinated advocacy. Other nations were aggressive, ambitious, and well-coordinated. So think of the Strategic Export Office as your government-level dealmaker. It brings strategic advocacy, government financing, and diplomatic support together in one place. It will help support a curated pipeline of major export opportunities, real contracts in real markets. And we'll work to tear down trade barriers and open doors so a company like MDA and its workers can carry Canadian leadership to customers all over the world. And here's the thing. This is not a promise about what we might do someday. It's a promise to formalize and accelerate the advocacy that we have already been doing. Because since forming government last year, this is exactly what we have been working on, relentless focus, deal by deal. Just last year, under the leadership of Prime Minister Carney, we have supported more than $25 billion in commercial successes for Canadian businesses. Let me break that down. To me, it's more than the billions. It's about the workers and talent behind our commercial successes. Look at CAE right here in Canada, a Montreal company that supports thousands of jobs across Canada. Last fall, Malaysia Airlines chose CAE to build a new flight simulator. The Prime Minister and I were in Kuala Lumpur for the signing, and this spring, Royal Jordanian signed for another. Look at de Havilland, a story of Canadian excellence. Building aircrafts in Calgary, roughly 1,400 workers, and a supply chain that reaches from Fort Erie, Ontario to Victoria, British Columbia. This year, they signed a $69 million deal to modernize Greece's firefighting fleet. They delivered new Twin Otters to Ethiopian Airlines, and their water bomber aircrafts are heading to 6 European countries to help fight wildfires, including a recent order the Prime Minister announced in France. De Havilland's exports to countries around the world have enabled them to expand their presence in Alberta. Roughly 2 months ago, I was in Alberta to announce the construction of their new facility, which will create another 1,500 good-paying jobs in Alberta. This stems from strategic advocacy on the global stage to bring home more orders for our world-class workers. World-class workers in Waterloo, Ontario, supported by OpenText, a Canadian champion, around 2,900 Canadians, building the cybersecurity and cloud that the world runs on. Earlier this year, I joined them in celebrating their office opening in Saudi Arabia, a Canadian company planting its flag in a market others are chasing. And just last month, OpenText announced an investment of more than $165 million to expand AI, cybersecurity, and sovereign cloud capacity for markets across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. And then there's Airbus, the biggest deal in Canadian aerospace history. AirAsia committed to buy 150 Canadian-built A220s. Those aircrafts are built by the incredible workers in Mirabel and beyond. That is thousands of jobs in Quebec and so much more than the plant I visited a few months ago. The A220 supports a supply chain of 800 suppliers that stretches right across the country. Parts, materials, skilled trades, suppliers in community after community. One aircraft supporting 30,000 Canadians who build it and build the parts that go into it. And it was a collective team effort that brought this deal over the line. In the fall last year, I was with the Prime Minister in Malaysia for the ASEAN Summit, where we met with the CEO, Tony Fernandez, to help push for this deal to come through, help push for Canadian excellence in Canadian aircrafts. Our energy sector is second to none. Just look at AtkinsRéalis, Canadian nuclear technology winning where it counts. They just signed a 5-year agreement on the Sizewell nuclear power station in the south of England, a $70 billion project. Their CANDU nuclear technology is used in South Korea, Romania, India, and others. As the world's energy needs grows, so does the need for nuclear capacity. Global partners will look to triple their nuclear capacity by 2050. That means over 1,000 new reactors. And Canadian workers are well placed to deliver on those projects, supported by the highly skilled 90,000 Canadian workers across 250 companies in Canada. And I was just in Saskatchewan last week, where we hold the world's largest and highest grade uranium deposits needed to power nuclear reactors in South America, Europe, and the Indo-Pacific. Earlier this year, alongside Prime Minister Carney in India, we secured a $2.6 billion deal between India and Cameco, directly supporting thousands of workers in northern Saskatchewan. And here at MDA, a $1.1 billion contract with Globalstar to build more than 50 satellites. Last month, in Japan, I watched Mike sign a partnership with Mitsubishi for its next generation defense communications satellite program, bought by Japan's Ministry of Defense. And a few weeks after my trade mission to Qatar, Telesat signed a new strategic partnership in Qatar to deliver its low-orbit satellite connectivity. Deal after deal, with Team Canada's diplomatic support, we piloted this approach as soon as we took office, leading to billions of dollars of commercial wins, bringing home international orders for hundreds of thousands of workers from coast to coast to coast. And today we are formalizing that approach through the new Strategic Exports Office to go even faster, bring home more deals, and win on the global stage. And we're not doing this alone. We are doing it with industry and Canadian champions. Today, I'm also announcing a new Strategic Exports Advisory Council, private sector leaders at the table giving us practical advice on the opportunities and obstacles we need to work together. The companies on this council support over 300,000 Canadian jobs across the country, because the best trade policy is not written in Ottawa alone. It is written with businesses who live it every single day. And through the new Strategic Exports Office, we will bring home more commercial deals, and to the workers who are watching at home. The international deals that we win abroad are about you, for those who build the products and services that the world wants to buy. The workers who power international trade here in Brampton, in Mississauga, in Calgary, in Mirabel, Moncton, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Victoria, and beyond. Together, the office and the council become a diplomatic, commercial, and financial powerhouse for Canadian exporters. One team, one goal, Canadian workers winning abroad as Team Canada and bringing home new international orders to power our economy and create thousands of jobs across our country. Let's get to work. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Minister Sidhu. It's a great announcement. This concludes the formal program for today's announcement. Thank you to our speakers, to MDA Space for hosting us, and to everyone who joined us this morning. We appreciate your continued partnership in growing Canada's presence around the world. Now we'll turn to the media for the Q&A.
Good afternoon, everybody. We will now open it up to media. One question, one follow-up. Please state your name and your outlet.
Good morning, Minister. This is Neha from CBC News. Last week, the Prime Minister said everything is on the table in negotiations with the US, and this week, he said energy is off the table. Is Canada hurting its bargaining ability by saying what it won't leverage?
No, it's a very good question. I mean, you mentioned the U.S. It's a very important partner to industry groups, including to many on the council. They will always be an important partner to Canada in terms of trade. But as we work through this negotiation, I think it's prudent that we don't negotiate through media. Canada has many cards to play, and will continue to negotiate at the table, led by Minister LeBlanc and the U.S. team. At the same time, my focus is diversification to expand into new markets around the world, sign new free trade agreements so our businesses can have preferential access. And so the focus is, yes, of course, the U.S. is important, but also the rest of the world, we need to focus on that as well. And you can tell from the business world, if you have one customer buying your product, they will set the price. But if we're able to open up the market and have more customers, that gives our industry a competitive advantage.
My follow-up question, how concerned are you that removing the possibility of a tax on streamers at this time is going to be used against your party in the by-elections, particularly in Quebec, where there's a lot of sensitivity toward protecting local art and culture?
Yeah, I mean, look, when you look at that, the Minister of Heritage is leading that conversation. But what I can say is that we don't want to add to the affordability of Canadians, what they're dealing with day to day. That increases costs. And so the Prime Minister was very clear yesterday that this helps bring down costs for Canadians. And we'll continue to collaborate and have those conversations.
Hi there, Mark Carney with Globe and Mail. I'm wondering if you can kind of explain what this Strategic Export Council, or office rather, actually is. I mean, you guys have EDC, you already have the Trade Commissioner Service, you have the Canadian Commercial Corporation, all which facilitate deals, do financing, arrange that. What is new about what's being announced today, and how is it going to work with the existing arms of trade promotion that the government already has?
It's a very fair question. I mean, look, when we formed office and when I got this role, and I consulted with industry, with boards of trade, with commerce organizations across the country, they were telling me that we're losing out on business because we're not as coordinated as other countries. They would get to the finish line, another state leader would swoop in, a trade minister would swoop in, make a call, and billions of dollars of deals would be lost. And so better coordination is what's required, is what industries have asked for. Yes, we were coordinated, but we need to be better coordinated in terms of breaking down those silos. So in this office, we'll have diplomatic experience, we'll have financing experience from EDC, but we'll also have business backing from the industries. And so if you look at the Strategic Advisory Council, it involves CEOs from Canada's largest companies who are willing to do more around the world. And so when you look at this office, it'll help break down those silos, help coordinate in terms of diplomatic advocacy, which we've been doing. Now this formalizes it so we can accelerate it even more. So this brings together dozens of professionals from all walks of life so we can be focused in terms of landing international deals.
I just want to push on that a little bit more because I'm still a bit confused about what exactly is new here. Like what kind of deals do you expect you will be able to land with this new office that you couldn't before? What type of financial arrangements or cooperation between, let's say, EDC and the Canadian Commercial Corporation or what have you that didn't exist before? Like what actually looks different if I am a Canadian company trying to sell to, I don't know, Turkey or Japan or what have you?
So one example I'll give you on that is if you look at what we did in our nuclear strategy just recently, exports is a big part of that. When you're trying to sell nuclear components or parts or products, it involves a lot of G to G, and we need to be better coordinated that with the private sector for financing, with EDC for financing, but also diplomatic. If you look at what the world needs in nuclear capacity, they need more nuclear, they need more power, and so we need to be better coordinated to do that. If you look at in the space tech space, I've been with Mike in many trade missions around the world, just in Japan last month, where he was able to sign with the Japanese government. It requires us to stand beside our companies, beside our industries, and many countries before we took office were doing that better than us. And the first question that a lot of industry reps will get is your government standing beside you? Is your government procuring your product? Why should I be buying your product? And so this sends us a clear signal to not only here in Canada, but our international partners that we're willing to work together to get deals done. And that signal that it sends, if you look at the Advisory Council itself, the CEOs that are part of that represent hundreds of thousands of Canadian workers. And so the more deals we're able to bring home, we need to do that. And if you just look at France as an example, their advocacy efforts are better coordinated. President Macron will intercept deals many times over. And so if it's me on the world stage or it's another minister, we want to make sure that they're well equipped to push for these commercial advocacy efforts as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. So, in the beginning of your speech, you mentioned before entering politics, you worked in custom brokerage and international trade. So, if you were advising a Canadian entrepreneur with limited capital today, which foreign market and which sector would you suggest and push, and what will be the first federal program you would use? Actually, let me rephrase for you to address directly to everyday Canadians. If you had $1 million of your own, your own money to build an export business today, where would you invest it?
So you want me to put my business hat back on? I mean, I put that hat away for now, but as the Minister of International Trade, I can say to the businesses out there, we have a Can Export program. It's a funding package of roughly $68 million, which enables businesses, small businesses, to get out to trade shows with us around the world. The next one will be in India. We'll be going to Poland in September. And so what I can advise businesses, I know it's risky. I know it costs a lot of money to get to the other side of the world. And this is why we have the Can Export program, to help enable you to get to more trade shows. Do you need legal advice, market research? And so part of that is the funding package that we have through Can Export. But we also have professionals at Trade Commissioner Services. And so it depends on what market you want to get to. We are constantly opening new markets. I just signed a free trade agreement with Ecuador, with the UAE on Friday. It was 2 agreements done in one day. You can see how fast we're moving. But I'm also negotiating with India, with Philippines, with Thailand, with ASEAN, with Saudi, and many other countries, including Turkey, which will be launching consultations on tomorrow. And so we're also making sure that our businesses have preferential access to markets around the world, fast-growing markets, mind you, to make sure that they're not priced out because of tariffs.
But Canada already has one of the world's broadest networks of free trade agreements when we look at the numbers, yet only 15% of Canadian SMEs export. Is the real problem a lack of trade agreements, or a lack of financing, scale, market intelligence, and logistical support for Canadian businesses, you will think?
I would say you need to approach it from different angles. So you need to support more SMEs to get to new markets abroad. But if you look at what our partners are doing, India just signed with the UK. They signed with New Zealand. They signed with many other like-minded countries. And so as they bring their tariff rates down, and as our businesses are operating in that region, they will slowly be priced out. Because as you imagine, our FTAs are about bringing down tariffs. And so if you're trying to negotiate or trying to land a contract in a country that has a 15% duty rate and your competitor does not, you probably won't get that contract. So we need to work on both, opening new markets, but also helping small businesses access those very markets that we're opening. And so that, to me, is very, very important, but it's also about utilization. You don't want to sign a free trade agreement and forget it. You need to be able to work with small businesses to take advantage of that trade agreement, whether it's with CPTPP or CETA. And so you're approaching it from 2 different angles, opening new markets, but also walking businesses through that hallway so they can land more contracts.
Thank you so much, Minister Sidhu. This concludes today's press conference. For those that are there, please stand in place. We will now do a group photo quickly as we move the podium. Thank you, everybody.